still have my first.
Very top of the Soyuz, there's a launch shroud around it right now that'll protect it during the early stages of the launch. That'll drop away once they're a few minutes into their flight. 1 a.m. Eastern. It's initiated. Vehicle now on internal power. The launch command has been issued. You can see the rocket engines firing.
Second umbilical tower.
Power is going to start ramping up.
Engine turbopumps at flight speed. Engines at maximum.
Turbo pumps at flight speed and liftoff. Sergei Ryazanskiy, Randy Bresnik, and Paolo Nespoli rocketing away from Baikonur and on their way to the International Space Station.
And liftoff.
You can see the very bright first stage engines cutting across the night sky there on Baikonur.
25. 20 seconds into flight. All systems are
getting reports, everything running nominally or normally for the first stage, so getting good first stage performance so far. Soyuz delivering about 930,000 pounds of thrust with those 4 boosters and the single core engine.
Is nominal.
They're going to be burning liquid fuel for the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds of the flight. Already past 1 minute since liftoff. Velocity already approaching 1,100 miles per hour for the Soyuz spacecraft.
Your pitch are nominal. Copy. 70 seconds into flight. Everything's nominal on board.
And continuing to get good reports from the controllers in Baikonur. Everything looking good with the rocket so far as the first stage continues onwards.
Into flight. Everything's nominal on board. 90 seconds into flight. Stage 1 and 2 thrusters are working nominally.
So we
roll pitch and you are nominal.
And we have confirmation that the escape tower has been jettisoned, and there you can see the 4 strap-on boosters flying away, making something known as the Koryov Cross. The 4 strap-on boosters now detached. The first stage has done its job, and then the core stage of the second stage continuing to burn now. At this point, the rocket already 48 miles in altitude, traveling, or rather 28 miles in altitude, the Soyuz traveling at over 3,300 miles per hour.
150 minutes in seconds and into flight. Second stage, thrusters are working nominally.
And everything continuing to look good with the second stage. Getting confirmation from the visiting vehicle officer that the launch shroud, so that protective shroud around the Soyuz spacecraft, has been jettisoned. So Soyuz now exposed during the additional climb to orbit.
Seconds. All parameters are nominal.
At this point, a little over 3 minutes since launch, the Soyuz rocket traveling at a speed of over 4,700 miles per hour. For those just tuning in, we had a successful launch. Those lights you see coming back down are the strap-on boosters and the escape tower that detached from the rocket following a successful flight. Second stage, the core stage, continuing to perform as expected. That core stage, 56 feet in length, 13.5 feet in diameter. And it has a single engine with 4 different fuel chambers, and it provides between 178,000 and 222,000 pounds of thrust, depending on the altitude. And it's going to continue firing for about 3 minutes and 28 seconds of operation. It burns until the 4-minute, 43-second mark. And then the Soyuz will use, again, what's known as a hot stage technique. So the third stage will actually ignite while the second is still burning.
Thrusters are working nominally.
A view inside the cabin, you can see things going very well for the rocket. The crew, Paolo Nespoli here in the center of the screen, Sergei Ryazanskiy in the bottom right corner of your screen. And then getting some animations now from Roscosmos, the Russian Federal Space Agency. Again, at this point, the vehicle still being controlled by the blockhouse, the control center in Baikonur. And then following separation from the third stage, control of the Soyuz spacecraft will get handed over to the Russian mission control just outside of Moscow. And we should be coming up on the third stage. And we've heard confirmation that the second stage has separated. So that core stage separating at an altitude of about 105 statute miles. The third stage now continuing the Soyuz climb into orbit. Getting away from Paolo Nespoli, he's in the right seat. And then Randy Bresnik there at the top of your screen. Sergei Ryazanskiy in the middle.
10 seconds into flight. Stability.
Everything continuing to look good with the Soyuz rocket. Being propelled by that single engine of the third stage, provides about 67,000 pounds of thrust and is going to burn for 4 minutes and 2 seconds. So this is the final part of the climb into orbit. The first and second stages doing their job and dropping away.
Thrusters are working.
The third stage now going to continue. Again, this will burn until about 8 minutes, 45 seconds following the liftoff. And right now we're at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, so just a couple of more minutes to go.
350.
And then we'll see the Soyuz spacecraft separate from the third stage, and it will be in orbit and on its way to the International Space Station.
Roll, pitch, and yaw, all nominal. .380 seconds into flight. Third stage thrusters are working nominally.
Six minutes, 40 seconds since liftoff, still about 2 minutes of burning for this third stage engine. Again, just the single core stage at this point. The vehicle
and everything's fine on board.
is, again, just about 2 minutes left. By the time the third stage cuts off, it'll be in an altitude of 125 statute miles over the Earth. And it'll deliver the Soyuz into orbit, and then it'll be able to deploy the solar arrays and all the various antennas it'll need for the flight up to the International Space Station. But so far, everything going very well so far today. The team's not tracking any issues with the vehicle. The first and second stage performing flawlessly, actually giving us some pretty great views in the night sky over Kazakhstan as the first and second stages dropped away. Seven and a half minutes into the flight. At this point, the Soyuz rocket actually traveling at almost 13,500 miles per hour, ultimately going to climb up to about 17,500 miles an hour, the speed the space station's traveling at, and then it'll begin its chase down of the vehicle.
470 seconds into flight. Third stage thrusters are working nominally.
And so we're at about 8 minutes into the flight, so just a little over 40 seconds now remaining of powered flight for the Soyuz rocket. We'll keep an eye in the cabin here as you will see the astronauts get a bit of a jolt when that third stage cuts off and drops away. But once that's complete, they'll be in their preliminary orbit, be able to start chasing down the International Space Station.
500 seconds into flight. Five 110 seconds into flight. Roll, pitch, and yaw are all nominal. Parameters are nominal as well.
And there you see the crew members getting a bit of a jolt, that signifying the third stage has cut off. Getting the confirmation here that it has indeed separated.
And I am handing you over.
So there we have it. Sergei Ryazanskiy, Randy Bresnik, and Paolo Nespoli in orbit. Their Soyuz spacecraft now about 125 miles over planet Earth.